Good afternoon and happy Friday, everyone. This is Andrew Kimmons with Kimmons Toolworks, and today I have a handful of really awesome things to share with everybody. Actually, one of them is my favorite thing that I make. And it sounds kind of weird because it's a tool that I have almost no use for in my actual practical life. But long story short, I'm going to spoil the surprise. I have a couple of my framing chisels completed on the bench and wanted to show those in an actual video. Never done a video of them before. I've got some pictures and stuff like that, but I thought it would be fun to do a video comparison, lay things on the bench, show everybody basically what's going on. Now, when I had designed these, I am not a timber framer, as most of you know. I am a tool maker. So it was one of those things that I wasn't really super enthusiastic about because I had no real use for it in my life. And I had a design for it that I knew would be a great design. I knew they'd turn out beautiful. I had drawn a sketch on my bench and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. But as I started doing it, during the process, my excitement started building. To the point when I finished it, and when I had that sucker finished in my hands, it just hit me out. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is the coolest thing, literally ever. And I hope everyone else is as enthusiastic about them as I am. And I don't know if it's maybe one of those you just have to hold it in your hands to get it thing, but I'll show this one right now. And this has been handled, so you can't see the grinds perfectly. This isn't my first take of this video. I tend to ramble. But anyway, that is a look at the size and the fit and finish of one of these massive framing chisels. This is a 2-inch. This is a 2-inch chisel. And I will tell you right now, one of my goals with making these, I know a lot of times as things get bigger, a lot of times things are made with crappier tolerances. The fit and finish goes out the window. It's like, it's big. It's a big beater tool. I'm just gonna, whatever. I wanted to make these in such a way that they had that jewelry level fit and finish. I didn't want to, just because it was a big, hunk of slab of beater tool, I didn't want to make it with that in mind. I wanted to make it with tool jewelry in mind. And that was a huge, huge goal of mine. Even though it's a tool that's meant for extremely hard use, I thought, why not? I'm not going to put out a tool that's intentionally not beautiful. That's insane. So this is what comes of that. And even, I know that with tools like this, a lot of times you're looking at a working edge. You want a working edge. You want to do, some pretty rough work, rough chopping, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be absolutely razor sharp. So when they ship like that, and what we've got going on here, that's a 30-degree primary and a 35-degree secondary. That's something that I highly recommend for chopping and hard use and things like that. It's actually how my Mortise chisels come as well. But here is a 1-inch. And that is a big, big, big 1-inch chisel. I mean, that is not small. That is not small at all. Especially when you look at it here, comparing the two. That is a standard 1/2-inch socket tang chisel. This is one just from my own personal collection. And I know I keep looking at the wrong spot. I'm trying to get used to the sideways camera with YouTube. But yeah, I mean, this is why these aren't cheap tools. They're absolutely enormous. The fit and finish is the absolute best you can get. And I know that many of you know the design and know kind of how everything functions, but what I think is a good thing to recognize here, let me put this down and I have a handle, but about the construction is, your tang is obviously way down in here, like the length of my hand, and it's a 3/8 tang. But you have compression on both ends. We have a compression cap on this end that's forced on here with a 20-ton press. And on this end, we have a socket. And it's not a faux socket, it's a real, actual tapered socket. I've seen faux sockets and I don't understand that. It defeats the entire purpose. But this handle right here is actually going to be one for my collection. Even though I have no particular use for this in my life, I absolutely love tools, and I love nice tools, and I just want one. And I think, you know, what fun is this if I don't add some of the things that I like to my own collection? So when my materials get here for more of these, I am going to include, I don't know what size yet. I haven't decided on the size that I'm going to add, because I'll probably, unless I find a real good actual use for them, I'll probably just have one of these. But anyway, let's move on to a couple other fun topics. And you can see the taper size difference between the two. I mean, we're talking, that's not a small difference. That's a big handle. But the cool thing is, it's a big handle and it looks big, but the ergonomics are still there. Like, the ergonomics of a comfortable little chisel are still there. Of course, you've got the weight of the blade. This thing is not small, but it's just as ergonomic as a regular socket tang chisel, and I love it. And that was a huge part of it for me, was with a big chisel like that, you can really screw up the ergonomics of it. I don't want this sucker to feel like it's a broom handle or just clunky and big. I wanted it to be ridiculously strong, have that pristine, you know, tool jewelry, like tool fit and finish, and simultaneously fit the hand and feel good. And I worked my butt off. I had a lot of failures when prototyping these that I just did not like the feel of. But this is what I ended up with. I love this. These things feel absolutely incredible in the hand, and those of you who either own or will own them, I guarantee you can attest to the fact that as far as a framing chisel goes, these things are out of this world. But anyway, let's move on to a couple other things. I have pretty much right here, with the exception of making these big framing chisel blades, like, we're looking at pretty much an entire week's work for me. And I want everybody to get a little bit of an idea of just exactly what goes into these. There's a lot of hours in these things when you get them, because it's just what it takes. It's what it takes to do what I want to do with them. And those of you who get it, get it. Those of you who don't, won't, and that's okay. Everybody's different. Difference makes the world a very interesting place. So let's go ahead and I will pan this down, because I have a couple, or one other chisel that's going to be shipping out today to talk about. And actually, before I pan down, let's go ahead and I'll just show it up here. I have this is a 3/8 mortise chisel, and it's in a maple burl handle, and you can see the finish quality of that for a burl. Hopefully, if I can get the lighting just right, you can see that. I mean, there is no tear out. There will not be tear out. This is like glass. And you can tell by the color of this. I wanted to mention, if you want a burl and you want a burl handle for hard use, first off, burls aren't really a very good choice for hard use, because they are inherently defective wood. A burl is a defective piece of wood. It's a flawed piece of wood. That being said, if you want to go with a burl and you do intend to use it pretty hard, maple burls are the way to go. And they're the way to go because of the amount of resin these things take when stabilizing. You can tell by the color. That's not stained. I didn't stain it that color. And I didn't use a dye or a super dark resin that had stabilized dark woods. This was in a brand new gallon of resin that had never been used before. And for those of you familiar with stabilization, it looks like water but thinner, lower viscosity than water. And just the volume of resin that these maple burls take is, I mean, it's unlike anything else. These are very tough to cut on the lathe. But other burls, other materials in general, will not take this much resin. And for that, it makes them much stronger. I mean, these burls a lot of times pretty much just become plastic. And it's, I mean, I can't ever recommend burls for really hard use, but if you're gonna go with a burl, the maple's the way to go here. And that just is what it is. So I will go ahead and I'm gonna pan this down and show you a few other really cool handles that I have. Actually, a first. All right, you have to kind of bear with me a little bit. I'm getting used to this stuff. I'm very, very new to YouTube in general and trying to make videos. But first off, what I would like to say is you can see sitting on the bench a good idea of the size and why this is an expensive tool. When you look at that versus this, there is a lot of work that goes into this, especially when you look at how much grinding that is, how much machining that is. These are a lot of work, but so totally well worth it, in my opinion. To me, I like good tools, and I'm almost certain that everybody here likes good tools. It likes beautiful tools, and you know, that's the way I am in my personal life. I used to anyway buy a lot of tools like sockets, ratchets, wrenches, stuff like that, and I pretty much only buy Snap-on. And Snap-on is not a cheap tool, but I've always had that philosophy of if I can order, you know, if I can get 10 cheap tools or 20 cheap tools or just add one good tool to my collection, I'm going to add that one good tool and save or do whatever I have to do. And it took me the better part of 15 years to build my Snap-on collection. I know that a lot of you acquire your chisels that same way, and it's a smart way to do it. I mean, to operate within your budget. Like I've always said, like, if it comes down to the question of, am I going to be able to, you know, buy food this month if I get chisels? Don't get chisels. Make it a good decision. Make it something you're happy about. And you just gotta prioritize your own thing. But anyway, that is a really good look at the size differences. Let's move on to the Mortise Chisel handles. These right here, and I have a video that I did. I haven't uploaded it yet, obviously, but a video for YouTube about how I rough these out. And you'll see in the video, I'm not sure when I'll get it uploaded, but I will upload it eventually about my process. But without further ado, these are the first ever ebony Mortise Chisel handles. And I think these are going to be really killer. Really killer. I've never seen like those. I've never seen those before. Those are new. There's two different gentlemen that will be getting, you know, theirs when I put these together, and they'll be the only ones out there until somebody else, you know, were to place an order. I also have another gentleman, and I'm going to be finishing up all these Mortise chisels next week. I got the blades heat treated today. I got to do the grinding, and tomorrow I'm going to be heat treating M4. I heat treated A2 today. I have to break that up into 2 days because I'm almost superstitious. I have to mentally change gears. I don't like doing multiple different steels in the same day. Just different vibes going, different, you know, target temperatures, different things going on. And I don't like to mix the two up. But anyway, you can see this is a bubinga handle right here. And this one is really, really showing off the finish quality. Just because of the way the lighting is right now, you can see that is nearly like glass. And that's my goal. That's my goal. And different materials inherently will take different finishes. You don't get as much luster on an ebony, and that's normal. It's not that they're really finished any differently. It's just that some materials have that tendency to reflect light and others really don't. But the finish is nearly the same on all of them. And maple, even though it's stabilized, is one of those materials that tends to be a little more dull, I guess. It doesn't have that reflective property to it. But yeah, this is one of the Tang style chisels. This is going to be an M4, which I'm going to be heat treating and finishing up next week. But yeah, it's just very large, but still ergonomic. And that was huge goal of mine. Anyway, I wanted to take a second to thank everybody for supporting me. It means the world to me when somebody chooses me to make tools for them. There's a lot of choices out there. There's a lot of options out there. And frankly, I could not live my life without the support, and I greatly appreciate that. So I wanted to just thank everybody. I wanted to ask everybody to please like, share the video, and to subscribe to my channel. And I'll be doing a lot more with this channel moving forward. These were orders I really wanted to get caught up on, so I haven't done too much on YouTube. And to those of you who share the content, that is equally important as those who order. Those who do place orders and share, you know, double thank you. I super appreciate that, because the word of mouth keeps me alive. It literally keeps my family fed. So anyway, I hope everyone has a great weekend out there, and I will see you next time.